Testing. Can you hear? No, on the live stream.
I've taken off the leaves.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good evening committee members, welcome to Finance and Governance on the 7th of March 2024. This is the final F&G meeting of 5 years, so those of you who've lasted that long, well done.
That's why I've come.
Sorry, Councillor,
That's why I've come.
because it's the last
I
one.
want to say goodbye to them.
Goodbye. Thank you, Councillor. Welcome to councillor staff and guests here in the meeting itself and anybody that's watching on YouTube, which is now being streamed live. Straight to the agenda, can I have any apologies or absences or substitutions, please, Nikki?
Yes, Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Lambert, who is substituted by Councillor Toft. We also have apologies from Councillor Nickinson and Councillor Hamilton.
I've had apologies from councillor Furman.
Thank you.
Welcome, councillor Toft. Item 3, declarations of interest. Right, do you want to vote on that? Yes. Okay. Can we have just a show of hands, please? Thank you. Approve the absence. Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Any?
Not pre-notified and no councils have sought a dispensation for this meeting, Chair.
As usual, if anybody's got any whilst we're going through the agenda, please say. Item 4, minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 7th of February. Can I sign those as a true and accurate record? Anybody got any queries on those minutes? Yeah, okay, I'll sign those later. Item 5, councillor questions, do we have any?
Oh, we've had none pre-notified, Chair.
Any councillors want to ask a question at this juncture in the agenda? Okay, thank you. Item 6 is public questions.
Again, we've had none pre-notified, questions to do with the Chairman's extension.
Yes, we've got the applicants here. Anybody else? Any members of the public want to ask a question on the agenda, unless it's a specific point relating to that? Okay, so into the first substantial item on the agenda, which is the grant applications. The first of which we've got 3 tonight. First of which is where I'm going to ask the town clerk to introduce. In a minute. You will notice, members, while I'm just telling that after E&S last night, we've got the quality biscuits out tonight. So, and it's the last one. No personal expense to the council. Town clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Members, as ever, I shan't be taking you in detail through any of the application forms, as you've had those as part of your agenda pack, and they are available on the website. You have 3 requests in front of you tonight, and the first one is Artway, who are proposing an art trail through Weymouth Town Centre on the theme of peace. It will be spread across 15 venues, which coincides with Artway's 15 years of operation. Various groups are involved, and there is an open invitation party during which there will be a display of artwork created at community workshops held in the preceding 2 weeks. And that open invitation party is on the 21st of September this year. The total project cost is £5,000. The application amount is £3,000, and the officer recommendation in front of you tonight is for the full £3,000. Thank you, Chair. And we do have representatives in the room should there be any questions.
Okay, councillors, committee members, any questions before I go to the applicant to say a few words? Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Chair. If my memory serves me right, I believe we supported at Artway previously with a similar project. I could be getting confused, but have we, not obviously this year, but previous years, have we supported them before?
It will be listed on the.
Yes, I recognise the name, so.
Yeah, and I'm just slightly, I'm not concerned, because obviously last night at services we discussed and pushed forward our cultural strategy, but this fits in with perfectly. And it's something that the town sort of, council want to promote and do. But I'm just starting to wonder whether or not this is going to be a reoccurring every year, looking for them to support this project, this expedition. And whether or not, if that is the case, and that is something we're doing, whether or not we should just be looking at a service level agreement. Because it does seem reoccurring.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the applicant in a minute. Okay, so.
So the application form, which is up on the screen behind me, details that there was a grant allocation to Artway for hire of a marquee at their event at the Nose for Dorset Art Week in 2022.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago.
Was that your query?
Yes.
Yes, I remember seeing there actually, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I think, Ian from our way. Ian, do you want to come forward if you want to say anything? You don't have to, but you can come forward.
I'll come forward as well, because
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
about the answer to that list.
Yes, because you've been before, haven't you?
Yeah, I did it by Zoom last.
That's right, yes, I remember. You just press the middle button, normally it'll go green.
Yeah, any questions? Can you please explain the project?
Yes, please, a bit of background would be good, yes.
Yeah, coincides with Artway's 15 years old this year. We've been working in the community with self-funding. And we obviously apply for certain grants for like that particular marquee, Dorset Arts Week. And our events are regularly sort of visited by, I think the last exhibition was 2,000 people, Dorset Arts Week. So it's obviously well attended. What we're trying to do at the moment with this trail, art trail, is to have a conversation about peace. So that's the subject matter, that's the theme. We've already asked several groups to take part and take responsibility for one of the venues, 15 venues. The 21st September, which is the final day, coincides with the UN International Peace Day. So I think the way the world's at the moment, I think it's quite a good conversation to have. We did invite the United Nations, but unfortunately they couldn't attend. They were a bit busy, but we did invite them. We're going to be totally, inclusive, invite, as many people as can along. We're well aware, it's important to get people coming through the town. So this is going to be monitored with the use of QR codes and stamps. So at the end of the trail, people can come along with a full inventory, so visit all the sites and maybe enter some sort of door or something. It's just different encouragements. There's going to be a total of 6 workshops. 3 of the workshops are open to the general public. That work's going to be exhibited in the final day on the 21st. It's really got a lot of attention to have a call today from the lady that's involved with the Alzheimer's Club. And they want to take part as well. So it is getting attention already through word of mouth. So I think obviously it's a good.
Can I just say one about the 1,000 had before? Artway had been in existence for 15 years, and that was the first time I think that we've. Right.
It's on, yes.
Artway had been in existence for 15 years as a community interest company, and in all of that time we've brought countless exhibitions and different events into Weymouth, promoting art within our community. And I think that was about the first time that we'd asked for funding in all of that time, because normally we are self-funding and we'll put our money, our funding comes mainly from member subscriptions, and we charge £60 a year for people to be a member, and that is spent back into our community by putting on exhibitions, events, inviting the community to join us in those sorts of things. And the reason we applied for it that year is it was the first event after COVID, and we were asked to set up the Dorset Art Week's exhibition at the North Fort, and you can't have art inside their buildings because at the time, well still, they're too damp. we couldn't hold a 2-week exhibition within the Liverpool itself, so we had to hire a marquee, and we just didn't have that kind of funding at the time for that, so that was a one-off. This one is a much bigger event that we're beginning to organise, because we're moving on now, and we're hoping to introduce even more events and things into our town, flood this town with art, and really take part and embrace a cultural strategy. So yeah, please contact us for anything like that, and we're quite happy to come back to you and ask for regular funding. Because we mean it.
Thank
We
you.
want that art to continue for long, much more than the 15 years we've been doing it so far.
Thank you. Councillor Watley.
Good evening, I spoke to you on the phone
Oh, yes.
recently. I've got two questions. You say the trail will be throughout the town, starting with the pavilion. How far is it going to stretch around the town?
How far through the town?
I mean, I'm planning to keep within the town centre,
Yes, it's pretty much through the town centre,
right?
so it ends pretty towards the sort of bus terminal. Although, you know, aren't we, the college are invited, they're quite involved
Right.
in this as well.
And the second question is, I noticed you're using QR codes, which means not a lot to me. Will you make sure that people can have paper so that they go around to each venue?
Yeah,
Because a lot of people just aren't clued up. I mean,
No.
I have a mobile phone, but I don't know how to work it.
I'm pretty much the same. Yeah, there'd be QR codes, because that seems to be what people do now.
Yeah,
Then you get lots of information on these codes, but also there'd be, you know, this traditional belt braces, there'd be each venue have a stamp, and within the map, so I've got to say, this is a map where the venues are, and information about what's been exhibited, and there'd be a space on there to have a stamp for those 15 venues.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watley. Anybody else? Councillor Harris.
I think it's a fantastic idea, it fits in very clearly with what we were talking about last night. So thank you very much for bringing that to us today, it's fresh in our minds. And I would like to propose that we accept, we go along with the suggestion by officers that we offer you £3,000.
Hold that thought, one second here.
Yeah.
Hold that thought, anybody else got any final thoughts? So the recommendation, the project cost is 5,000. The officer recommendation is for 3,000, which is the maximum. Got a proposal from Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Watley. Anybody else? All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, I think it's going to be quite exciting.
Yeah.
Like, you're invited to the party and the workshop.
Don't feel that you need to stay, because although this is riveting on World Book Day, it's not that interesting. The second application is from Wessex Folk Festival, and I'm going to ask the town clerk to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. The application form is as on your agenda pack, councillors. So most of you will be familiar with Wessex Folk Festival, that's held on South Harbourside, annually. It's been held for a number of years now. There are a couple of updates, to the application form, and that is the group have been successful in their £7,000 bid to the Arts Council, which is great news for the event. From an assessment point of view, there were some additional information required under question 21 regarding future funding, officers felt. And also we're aware that Dorset Council have recommended that the group attend safeguarding training, and just to flag that up with you, Chair. The application amount, sorry, is for £3,000, and the officer recommendation is 2,400 based on the Weymouth resident attendance that members have asked us to take into account.
Thank you. I'll go to the applicant. Any questions that we can get out on the floor from members? Yeah. Councillor Dick.
My question is one of simply consistency. What Councillor Ryan Hope brought up for the first one, I asked the same question here about whether this is, in effect, really should be a service agreement drawn up rather than separate individual projects.
Interesting. I would say is, whilst we have been liberal with the grants policy before, we tend not to support revenue costs, ongoing revenue costs. The grant policies for generally for capital, we have crossed that line several times, so I'm comfortable if you choose to do that again. But what we're not into in the grants policy is reoccurring unless there is a service level agreement for.
And, members have asked in the past that service level agreements are only where there is a significant benefit, particularly to vulnerable communities,
Yeah.
such as the grants to the land and to citizens of us.
Yeah, so there's only two of those, so I don't think we've supported this before, I don't think. Not so much since I've been.
Request prior to this, Chair.
Councillor Hood?
Thank you very much, Chair. Again, I'm minded to support this. I've attended the Folk Festival many weekends, down on the harbour side. There's something quite exciting and different in the town. And again, it fits very much in line with our cultural strategy that this town council is looking to adopt. So they say, well, yeah, and I understand the pressure that event organisers are really under to find the finances that they need to run these events. And we've got to take notice of the sort of economic impact that these events bring to our town. Because, for example, the Folk Festival itself, as well as the people that come to spectate and enjoy a day, it's all the acts that are participating and taking part that come from all across the country and will stay in our hotels and stay in our local campsites in a time that's sort of not peak season necessarily. You know, it's not that 6 weeks or a school holiday. So it's really, really important for the town. It's really important for our heritage and our culture. And just slightly off topic, Chair, I think we do need to look at a way that we can support cultural activities through this grant application in line with the new policy, but that's another time, I'm sure.
Well, having just gone through a policy review of the grants, that'll be for the next council to decide. Should have brought it up last night. Peter, are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is, yeah. He's on the agenda tonight. Peter, welcome.
Hello there.
Hi. I've got a couple of questions, but if you want to give us some background or any additional information, that would be great.
Yes, thanks very much. Thanks for inviting us and considering our application. You've actually summarised what we do very well. We've been running for about 20 years. In fact, originally, Wellington District Council, I think, set this thing up in the pavilion. But after a few years, they backed off of that and other private individuals took it forward. So it's been running a long time, and you're right, it's very popular. And it's quite different to a lot of other folk festivals. It's a free-to-enter festival. Most other festivals in the UK, it's a business plan, so they have a restricted area and it's ticketed, and that's obviously where they can get significant revenues to keep the thing going from year to year. But we don't. We have to rely on about 4 funding sources, and in the past we haven't actually applied for public funding. So this is a first for us. So you've obviously read the application. Our funding sources are quite tenuous. We have raffles, we have fundraising events, we have collections on the day. We have some local businesses sponsor us, so we go around mainly the local area asking for sponsorship. And the biggest earner is the trade stalls. So they bring in. Last year they brought about £5,000 revenue to us because a lot of traders are very, very enthusiastic about that. Slightly less this year because we've invited the RNLI to have a stand. We've also invited the Sea Cadets to have a stand, and they're also going to help us do some volunteering, and they're keen to get the kids involved. And there's a small trade craft shop by the town bridge, and they will have a stall. So we've given up some free space for those local people to be involved in. But that's one of our funding streams. And of course, programs, sales, and so on. So it's a very small budget, and it's not really enough, to be honest with you. The whole thing is right on the edge of being viable. I would say particularly because nowadays the requirements for things like security, health and safety, safeguarding policies, they're all getting more rigorous, more prescriptive. You can't, in the old days, it was a bit loose, you know, I mean, mates can do it, we can find a truck to put a stage on. It's not like that, as you well know anymore, and so all these costs are ramping up. So that's my plea, is that we really do need public funding now, in these sorts of events going forward, so hence, our application to you. And, I'm very pleased that we did get an Arts Council grant, very excited by that. And Dorset Council rejected our £3,000 request for funding, which actually, in all seriousness, I'm quite disappointed with.
On what grounds?
Well, there were two grounds. Your chair mentioned one of them was that they didn't think that the safeguarding policy didn't align with their values or something like that. And they told us to go and have some training. And the other reason that they gave was that somewhere in their form, we had said that 200 people would see our festival. And so they said that for a capital sum of whatever we put down, 23,000 to run the festival, that was bad value for money. So I'm very sorry that they've.
And what's your view on the safeguarding? That was the question. I mean.
Well, we do have a responsibility to vulnerable children. We do have a children's CALI. So yes, we do have a policy for people to have their, what's it called?
Yes,
We have people that have
DBS.
DBS accredited people. So in our view, we were responding to that. But obviously nowadays it's quite a detailed requirement. And in fact, we've rewritten the thing. So we've improved. But anyway, that was the reason why they said that they didn't pass their test.
Okay. Got some more questions coming. Councillor Hope first.
Thank you very much, just on that point, as well as any financial benefit that we may get as part of this application tonight. I'm just wondering if we can use our community development worker to actually work with the group on their safeguarding policies, and just support them in that, because
Sure.
if that was strengthened, they would maybe have that money from Dorset. So, and I think it's, you know, a benefit in kind from us also there, would be very, very useful to the group, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yes, I can certainly pass that on if the committee would agree that, and just to say the community development officer is organising safeguarding training in this venue for groups to attend. If you'd like information on that, we can certainly pass that on and set aside a couple of places for you on that.
Thank you, yeah, we'd be happy to attend. Can I make one other point? This is a thing of mine, and I don't want to hector you. But I believe we are not a private street party. We're a public community event. And in the old days, and you know where I'm coming from, the council would be deeply involved in something like this, particularly where we're seeking statutory powers to close roads temporarily. And I've not been involved in this until now, but because I don't really think that's quite right, to be honest with you. But we do it, and the way this system is now set up is that we have to do it, otherwise our small councils cannot resource all these things. So my point I'm coming to is that I would like it to be more of a partnership with us and you than us just coming every year and saying we'd like a bit of money, please. It may be a soft partnership. I don't know your governance, how it works, and you've talked about various things going on, but it's perhaps something for the future. I don't want to keep applying, and I would put the same thing to the county, to the council, that I just wish that we could have some sort of alignment so that, you know, we'll do it, but we do need some support.
Well,
That might not be over.
Let's get through the first hurdle for
Yeah,
this year, and, you know,
Yeah.
we're open to that, and
No.
we have discussed the, cultural policy already this week, so it may be something we want to progress.
Thank you.
Councillor Dickinson.
Good evening, thank you for coming along. It's just a question, have you had any antisocial behaviour at your folk festival?
I've been going to it the last 8 years, and I do not believe we have ever had any antisocial behaviour. We did have a medical issue last year, possibly through too much to drink, But that's the only event I can remember.
What time do you normally finish? What time's sort of in the evening does the folk festival finish?
The festival starts at 11 in the morning and it finishes at 5:30 in the evening. There are evening events in the pubs, but the actual street event finishes at 5:30.
Yeah, one of the things is our officer recommendations for 2,400 based on Weymouth residents' attendance. If you're running a folk festival like this, it's surely going to be county-wide, we would hope at least. So I would like to support the full 3,000. I have to put an amendment up to the recommendation, but I would like to see it increase to £3,000. But I do need support from the other councillors.
I'll second that.
Thank you for that. I would just say that it does go wider than Weymouth residents. And actually, we like to keep with Wessex Folk Festival because it's a bit of a loose definition of, it's the Hardy and Wessex of the southern counties. That gives us more scope to bring in.
I think that we're worried about what you call yourself, but the grants policies for Weymouth residents, because this is their money.
Okay.
You know, coming from our point of view, we're entrusted with
Right.
my money, your money, it's, so we need to, it's for the benefit of Weymouth people, because it's Weymouth taxpayers that are paying for it. I'm just going to ask the town clerk to expand on the calculation a little bit.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So at members' request, the application form does include a statement of the percentage of attendees or beneficiaries of any particular grant who are based in Weymouth, and that is, as the Chair has outlined, to ensure that the money that the town council gets, which is raised from the residents of Weymouth, goes to benefit the residents of Weymouth. And in the past, this committee has requested that officers use that percentage figure to recommend an amount that is in proportion with that percentage figure. So that is why that recommendation is as is, Chair. But as always, it's only an officer recommendation, and as councillors, it is your decision, and you are at liberty to amend that recommendation if you wish.
Could I add to that, or would you rather I stop now?
I think, stop while you're there.
The Weymouth residents get the value, they get 100% of the value in my view. It's the cultural value that possibly gets wider, because other acts come in.
I think we'll get that. I'm
Yeah.
just going to take a couple more speakers and I'll come back to you for some final thoughts. Councillor Wakefield.
Thank you. So, thank you, Peter, for coming and speaking to us. Obviously, the South Hartside Bywall in Weymouth East, and I can speak to the benefits that this festival brings. It is a private street party, it is a public event that many thousands of people attend, and it brings lots of money into the town. I would completely agree with Councillor Dickinson's point. I think it's not just about the number of Weymouth residents attending, but it benefits our businesses and our community as a cultural thing. So I would also happily support the notion that we could support this for £3,000 this year. That obviously isn't a revenue, we can't recur that amount, but it's a one-off. And I also agree, I didn't see the cultural policy last night, but I think events such as this and other ones are so critical to our town and what we offer, and people expect them. And as the town council, I think, yes, if we could offer support and training and assistance with safeguarding and risk assessments and any of these other things, because there's a lot of burden to putting on a small festival. And if you only do it once a year, actually it's a lot for you to do. Whereas if we can help to give support to a number of these events and festivals that occur, because it adds to the richness and tapestry of our town. So I'd heartily support that. Thank you.
Harris. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Chairman. I think another thing that you might like to consider is going back to Dorset Council and ask them to let you have the roads shut for free. It's not our responsibility, we can't offer you that, but you could actually ask Dorset Council if instead of giving you money, they actually let you have the roads closed for free.
Thank you, I intend to do that. There are one or two other cost issues which I also.
I love an optimist. Yes. Yeah. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I think I totally agree, and Councillor Wakefield said what most of I was going to say, which is, although the percentage of Weymouth residents compared to the full attendance is down, which is why we offered a recommendation down, when you look at the impact and the benefit it has for Weymouth as a whole, it's higher than probably some of the other grants that we've made this year and in the last 5 years. So I would support moving a recommendation for the full amount as requested. And councillor Dickinson, there's no proposal yet on the table, it's only an officer recommendation, so no amendment is actually required. So if you want to move the proposal to 3,000, I'll be happy to second that.
There you go. Back to councillor Dickinson.
Well, I would like to propose that we allocate the full grant of £3,000.
Ian, can you hold that thought a second? There's a couple more questions I want to ask and then we'll go to the vote. Peter, just a couple of questions from me. You've asked the bid for money, but it's not yet confirmed. What will you do if you don't get that?
How can I summarise this quickly? In the past, they've funded the stage for the Fair and the Square, which is a week before us. Unfortunately, we've slightly fallen over the Fair and the Square, and I have no idea what they're doing at the moment. But so bid fund the cost of the stage, and we use that stage for the following week. So I put on the budget an assumed cost of £1,500, should be there somewhere. Bid, yes, which would pay for the Hope Square stage. So I don't know why they're.
Yeah.
Okay, my understanding is that the bid will not be funding the stage for Fair in the Square, and that Fair in the Square are also currently seeking alternative means of funding that. I will check on that in case I'm wrong, but that is my understanding of that particular area of funding, so it might be something you want to explore with Fair in the Square and the Rotary Club, and I can put you in touch with the right people if you do need that,
Yes, thank you. I mean, I'm just sitting waiting to hear what
I'll
bids
drop you an
they.
email tomorrow.
Yes, thank you, yeah.
You may want to change the reason why you want the grant from the bid as well to something else and ask them for something else.
We had about 3 items on their application, so.
Always ask for the next one. Just before I go back to councillor Dickens and to vote on the changing the amount, just a tiny, we've sort of committed the town council to help you with this safeguarding issue. Just the amount will be on the understanding that we get that in place. Just a little bit nervous. Dorset Council control the roads, obviously. They want some safeguarding and, you know, good practice would be that we would follow suit, but I'm trusting you guys to sort of talk to the community officer and get something in place, if that's okay. Won't be in the amendment, but,
Yes, we certainly do that.
okay.
Could I just, is that, coming up, the training?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll be in contact.
Thank you.
Okay, right, so. Final question, I promise. I just wanted to ask, because I always ask this question, are you a commercial organisation or a CIC or a charity? What's the sort of base premise of what you are as an entity?
We're an unincorporated association,
Okay,
not for profit.
not for profit, that's the important phrase. Thank you. So, members, this is, we've had something on the table from councillor Dickinson around the maximum 3,000, which is seconded by councillor Hope. Anybody else want to speak to that before we go to the vote? Okay, councillor Hope.
I just want to ask councillor Dickinson whether or not you're just including your proposal, the requirement for our communications, community development officer to work with them on the safeguarding policy also.
Yeah.
I'm happy to second
Yeah.
that.
Okay, members, so that's two changes to the, what's written there. One is that we'll provide some support for, from our community development officer, and the amount will go to 3,000. So, proposed by councillor Dickinson, seconded by councillor Hope. All those in favour? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, don't feel the need to stay.
If you don't mind, we will go.
I know the feeling. Okay, third and last, application for grant is from the Doppelganger Productions. And I'm going to ask the town clerk to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. So once again, members, you do have the forms in front of you. Doppelganger Productions are a 50+ member company, and they are looking to hold an event on Portland that will culminate in an immersive Portland Peter Pan event at the B-Side Festival, which, as you know, is held in September. It will also tour several venues across Dorset, which does include Sandsfoot Gardens in the Weymouth Town Council area. The group are applying for core delivery costs to support and subsidise people in Weymouth who may have financial transport barriers in place, which would make it difficult for them to join in the community activities that are being held on Portland. The event is taking place at Portland Marina. The application amount in front of you is for £2,550. However, as the event is taking place on Portland, and as Portland Town Council have been asked to support the event to the amount of £500, the officer recommendation in front of you is for a mirrored amount of £500. What that will do is it will cover the entirety of the specific transport costs for Weymouth residents, which is £250, and the other £250 can then go towards the event as a whole, which will hopefully support the touring production coming to Sandsfoot Castle Gardens. I wasn't going to say anything else because I'm aware there's a few sort of departures in the recommendation from the form, and I'm aware we do have representatives in the room, Chair.
John, do you want to come forward, or you want to say an overview, and then we'll get the committee members to ask the questions?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Well, I'm John Foster. I run Doppelganger Dialogues, Doppelganger Productions, which is a production company which has been running for about 11 years. We're based in Bournemouth, but we cover the whole of the southwest. We tour plays. And we also tour in London and the north. This is the brainchild of Charmaine Kay, who's the director of the company and who has directed many shows for us, and did a very successful show, quite similar to this in many ways, last year, based on Shakespeare's The Tempest, which occurred in Portland and was a very successful show. The idea basically is to make this a very community based play, so that we bring in people from the community and train them to be actors or scene builders or singers, so that it's a very much a community event involving lots of people who become extremely enthusiastic. I think in this case, this year, Peter Pan, we're emphasising the theme of youth and age and the connection between the two, and trying to bring those two elements together in our processes, training and performance. 50% of the participants will be from Weymouth, singers, actors, technicians, etc., all trained up to fulfill a particular purpose. And we'll be doing 4 shows. So it's not, although it's obviously Portland is the main focus, and the kind of Netherland of the play, there's substantial stuff going on in Weymouth as well. And we are very much responsive to the community and how it evolves. I was very involved in last year's project. There were lots of workshops that involved people, and people began, for instance, I ran the writing workshops, as I'm a writer, essentially. And a lot of people began writing, that had never written before. And they were delighted and excited that they were able to do this. And they found a new talent that they tapped into. And so I think it's obviously can be a very exciting and worthwhile project.
Thank you. Members, committee members, questions, please. Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm looking at the breakdown in the costs, and I can see potentially why the officer's recommendation is just for the 500. But then I'm looking a little bit more deeper into this, and they're looking at offering activity refreshments to support the living crisis. And then I'm thinking, it's making me think a little bit, who are the clientele that are attending these workshops and benefiting from these activities? And the fact that the organisation is thinking about the need to feed and water them whilst they're there, are probably telling me that it's possibly some of the most needy and deprived residents in our community that are going to benefit from this. So it does really make me think a little bit more that maybe we should be offering slightly more than 500, because the facilities and the workshops that these people will be attending will be supported, attended by some of the vulnerable members of our community and those that are probably quite lonely, and will really benefit from the activity. So I'm just wondering why the £500 was for. Was that just because that's what Portland are giving and that's what we thought we should match fund, or was there more of a reason behind that?
Yes, I want to come back.
I'm happy to go in on that. Yes, it was to match fund what Portland Town Council are putting in, and in recognition of the fact that, according to the application, the only thing that is happening in Weymouth is that production at Sandsfoot Gardens. I know the applicant has just said there's other things going on in Weymouth, but that information isn't in the form, so we were unable to judge on it. I just realised there is an error in the report, and it's actually £450 is the travel. So members may wish to consider 50% funding of the refreshments, 50% funding of the materials, workshop costs, which would probably take you up to sort of near £600. But it is important to recognise that the majority of events are not taking place in Weymouth, and that, as has already been stated tonight, that the grants that Weymouth Town Council do give out need to be for the benefit of our residents.
Yes, that's John, that's sort of, I have the opposite feeling, which is, what hurts this application is that you mentioned Portland Art, and this is Weymouth Town Council with
Yes.
Weymouth taxpayers.
Yeah, right.
If the event was in Weymouth, then I can see the point, but I'm actually going to disagree. I mean, you mentioned 4 shows, but there's no mentioning about 4 shows.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm saying I think £500 is about where I am on this. I don't see if Portland Town Council, where the event is being held, are only offering £500, then I'm not in a place. Councillor Wakely.
Thank you. I'm more on Ryan's side of this one, particularly because for the community of Wyke, Portland, I know is over a mile away, but it is just next door. I mean, that is actually a smaller gap than you may imagine. And I can imagine families from Wyke will travel to go to this event and attend it on the Isle. And although Portland are offered 500, we must remember we are 4 times the size of Portland. We have more means than they have, so I don't feel necessarily matching Portland is necessarily fair. They are a much smaller outfit, so I'm not always sitting at the we should do no better than Portland, but I would like to acknowledge that I think this will benefit local families, particularly from the Wyke community who will attend it.
Councillor Legg.
If you could tell us where the 4 venues are, that would help in verbally. And the other thing that I'd just like to mention, you also mentioned that half of the artists were from Weymouth.
Yes, yes, they will be recruited from London, yeah.
So,
I don't know where the 4 locations are. I was just given that information by Charmaine earlier this evening. But she didn't specify whether. Charmaine is the instigator, it's her brainchild, this thing. And so she sent me a text saying that there are 4 shows happening, but also it's not in the document, so it doesn't really.
Sorry, just for clarity, so it's a really important point. It does mention 4 shows, of which one of the shows is in Weymouth. So are you saying 1 of 4 is in Weymouth, or are you saying 4 shows are in Weymouth? It's an important point.
Charmaine told me this evening that there are 4 shows in Weymouth, but I don't know where they are.
And you said 50% of the participants will be from Weymouth. Have you actually recruited those, or?
They are in the process of being recruited. But
You haven't recruited them yet?
Well, on the basis of last year, it's a similar project. Most of the people came from Weymouth. The choir and the actors and the people who did the scenery, 50%.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Councillor Legg.
I would just like to follow up on what Councillor Ryan and others have said about, I think, to me, balancing out or mirroring what Warwick Town Council's a miserable amount, if that's what they're doing, we ought to be doing a lot more on that, just to be equitable, if you like. So for that reason, I don't like that reason in there, actually. But I am a bit concerned about this, how much I'm interested in the number of professionals or a number of people that are participating in it come from Weymouth, and you base that on last year's figures, basically, and hoping for the same. And I'll accept that, because past performance is an indicator of future performance.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about these 4 venues. That to me makes a huge difference. It does. And you can't be specific about it. It's especially as 4 that are mentioned in here, but only one of them is in Weymouth. So what I agree with that proposal over there, well, what I would like to do is to say that let's propose that £500 goes in because of 1 venue. If they come up with 2 venues in Weymouth, we'll make that 750. If they come up with 3 venues in Weymouth, we'll make it 1,000. And if they come up with 4 venues in Weymouth, we'll make it 1,250.
Yes. Councillor Hammond.
Thank you very much. I think we're focusing a lot on the performance aspect without looking at the 12 sessions that you're saying around 50 Weymouth residents based on last year will benefit from various backgrounds. So that's what we also need to look at that contribution. But given a lot of the uncertainty this evening around this, bearing in mind the activities don't start till August, September time, I'm wondering whether or not the committee would support me in saying we defer this to the next meeting. I know we're going to the new council. When some of the clarity around some of the uncertainty can be presented, I'm sure you yourself can take some of this back to Charmaine.
Absolutely.
She can also watch the recording back on YouTube to hear what we said.
Next FG is June, just to be sure.
But
This is when is this being held?
June, August, June.
August.
I think I've got some sympathy with that view, that this crucial issue of how many events. I mean, you've said a lot in here, it's the most words of the 3 applications we've had, but yet the most crucial piece of information, how many venues and the other piece is how many actual people is not in there, and I'm comfortable as a chair.
Chair, can I just ask one more question? Is around the community workshops, where are they actually held? Are they
They'll be in Portland.
in Portland?
Yeah.
Hence the travel costs for Weymouth.
Yeah. So they are locals, it's not a million miles away, and there's travel costs to support that. So again, we're looking at 1 production in Weymouth, 1 in Portland, which we are literally it's probably further for white residents to go to Preston, the other side of Weymouth, than it is to Portland. So, I'm minded that, although it doesn't, I'd love to support it, but it just seems too woolly, and I think we should go for a deferral to the next meeting with some clarity.
Councillor Watley, did you want to say something?
I think I would agree with councillor.
Anybody else? Councillor Legg?
Well, having put a proposal forward myself, I'm going to disagree with that because I don't want to defer it any further. I go back to the one I suggested, let them go away and come back with an answer, but we've already decided what our response will be compared to that answer. And that is 500, 750, 1,000, 1,250. You're deciding it now, it's up to them what they do to satisfy that requirement. And I don't want to defer it, especially to June when it's going to be in August. That's difficult for managing it. So I'm sticking with my proposals, but nobody seconded it yet.
Okay, I'm going to ask, if it's no, I'm going to ask for a seconder and then we'll go to the vote.
I'll take it, Harris.
So Councillor Harris is seconding, so can you just repeat what you said so that Nicky's got those numbers?
That we agreed to sponsor them or give them £500 on the basis that there was one event being held in Weymouth. If they come back and tell us there's going to be two, then it'll be 750. If they come back and tell us there will be three, it's going to be 1,000. And if they come back and tell us there will be four, as been indicated in the day, then it'll be 1,250.
Total.
Stacks.
How quickly can you get us that information? So we've got a financial year end to contend with and we
Yeah.
can't reserve.
Yes, well, tomorrow. Is that soon enough?
We can do that. So, proposal on the table from councillor Legg, seconded by councillor Harris. If you've got those numbers, yes. 500, 750, 1,000. Councillor Hope.
Yeah, to the proposal, Chair, I'm sorry, councillor Legg, I couldn't support that. Because we're missing, you're focusing the full grant application based on the one performance for the 48, participants plus spectators. We're not taking into account the 12-week sessions that are also available to the performers, which is a wider benefit, in my opinion, than a performance, because you're going to be beating loneliness and lots of different other people who will be supporting that with different needs for the sake that the performances are held out of Weymouth. I think the fact that these activities are being held and the opportunities there for the performers is more important than the one performance or two performances in Weymouth.
Okay. Anybody else before we go to the vote?
Just, can I answer it?
Yes, go on.
I agree with that sympathy, but I want a decision tonight. So if you come up with an alternative one which satisfies all these requirements, then it means we make a decision tonight. Variable decision, depending on what the responses are to various questions, fine. But I don't believe in delaying the decision of what we're going to do to help them to June. It's too late. So my motion stands because there's no alternative to vote for.
Okay, we're going to go to the vote. Thank you for the lesson, councillor Legg. Okay, proposal by councillor Legg, seconded by councillor Nance. All those in favour? We're voting for a ratcheting up by performance, 500, 750,000. 1,250.
Please, can I ask that, that information needs to be with officers
Tomorrow.
in the next couple of weeks, just in case there's a difference.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favour?
3, 4, 5.
All those against?
1, 2, 3, 4.
That is carried.
Oh. It's the closest vote we've ever had.
Thank you very much.
Just from an application point of view, if you come back, you must really have the crucial information and bear in mind that this committee has to justify Weymouth residents spending, not Portland, Weymouth residents spending. That's the really crucial thing, and how the town or the residents benefit from that. And I'm sure they will. Just needs to be fleshed out a little bit and some of the other stuff taken out.
Yeah, okay, thank
Okay,
you very much.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. Well, that's it, longer than I thought. Moving on, item 9, sorry. We're gonna go to item 9 first instead of item 8, which is the still request CE cycling scooter furniture. That's because we have an officer in the room, Tina's here. I'm going to ask her to introduce. Hi Tina, thank you for your patience.
No problem, thank you, Chair. Okay, moving on to this one, this is the sale request for cycling and scooter furniture. Members are asked to consider the seal funding application in respect to buying additional cycling racks and scooter furniture for various sites across Weymouth. Having gone out and got some quotes, we've come to a decision on one, which is for a total of £17,841.70. This covers the cycle racks across the sites in the Promenade and Green Hill and various other open spaces. This also covers the installation and removal of any materials. Having looked at this with a couple of councillors, the conclusion is that some of the funding can be taken out from the Seafront Strategy funding, as a lot of the cycle racks are going to be sited along the promenade and down through Green Hill. So we are looking at roughly a figure of £5,500 to be requested from the SIL funding. So there is a possibility it may go up a little bit. I'm waiting for labour costs to be confirmed as to how much it costs to put in the racks in each of the sites, but it is going to be around £5,500 to £6,000 to be requested from the SIL funding. This is a very important element of the CE action plan, and it's hopefully going to encourage visitors and residents to cycle more down to the promenade and store their bikes a bit more securely. We've also got instances of bikes being stored against the promenade railings, which of course recently have been repainted. So if we've got some more furniture there available for people to store their bikes, then that will be of benefit as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Councillor Wakeling.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Tina. This is good, great work, and I'm looking forward to this. I've obviously been involved with this through the CE working group for quite some time. I'm very pleased to see it get to this stage. To be honest, I just want to see it done. I don't want any more delays or anything else that's been going around and around so long. What slightly concerns me is splitting this into 2 projects, because I just think that's more complication, and that possibly means more expense. You wouldn't get a decorator to come and paint your front door and then ask him to come back in the next month to paint the inside of it. He'd charge you more because he's got more time. And because we got a quotation from one contractor to come and do the whole lot in one hit, I think it's going to be much more convenient just to stick with that policy and just do the whole lot in one thing. So I believe we could fund this from several reserves, depending on how we feel. It could come out of CE reserve. It could come out of street furniture reserve. It could come out of Seafront reserve, parts of it could. Some could come from Parks reserve, or we could apply for our own SIL pots. And I don't really care. I just want to see it done. So the question for me is, what is the path of least resistance to get this done? And I think if this committee is minded to, if we recommend the full amount, the 17,000 from SIL to full council, and that gets approved in 13 days' time, then Tina has the money and our project team can get on to deliver it, without that bouncing around too many more committees. So my recommendation, members, I think, just to see this done, is that we recommend to full council the full amount, the 17,000 from SIL, and in 2 weeks' time that can be approved, and our project team can get on with it. Thank you.
Councillor Dickinson.
Hi Tina, have you got planning permission and have you spoken with the conservation officer?
Not yet, no. I just wanted to get the quotes first, just to see how much it was coming to.
So we've not spoken to Dr. Council about citing them on the prom, because they will want that, I'm sure, in a planning application.
As far as I'm aware, that hasn't been requested yet, so that's something that I need to look into.
8 weeks then.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Toft. Did you want to?
No, I wouldn't. I agree with councillor Wakeling that splitting it, there's a chance that events will intervene. And for some reason or other, the second tranche of bike racks won't get, because circumstances will change, and we will have missed this opportunity. And as a cyclist, you really support the leading moment for more bike racks. Thank you.
I think, I will come back to the funding issue. I don't really care where it comes from, but the planning issue is key because they are very sensitive. For instance, they can only be blue on the seafront. You cannot have them any other colour.
Okay.
Because that is a heritage colour. It can be white and they can be blue. Now, if we haven't had them pre-sprayed by then you're going to have to paint them because they want. It's part of the planning application. I've been here before.
Okay.
And we're currently talking to somebody else about electric bikes, so we need to get on with it, but the planning issue is critical.
Okay.
And they may say no, depending on the size of the racks and the rest of it, but they may say no. I think there already are some on the seafront.
There are.
They're still the hoop, on this.
Yeah, Sheffield racks, they're all galvanised, polished steel.
But if it's, yes, so that may be acceptable, but if they're coloured, they would have to be blue. Members, any other points? From a finance point of view, the quickest way to do this is to just, the whole amount come down SIL, because the money sits in SIL. And then we can just barman across whatever cost the officer comes up with, say this portion belongs to the seafront strategy. We'll just take that out of the seafront strategy money at a later date and put it back in the SIL. It's an easy process. Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Chair. I support this. It fits in line with many of our policies and strategies that we've adopted here at Weymouth Town Council. The CE plan, Seafront Master Plan, all got aspects of encouraging cycling and providing cycling provisions, safe storage. Just picking up on Councillor Dickinson's point there, I'm no expert in planning. I don't pretend to be, and I've never sat in planning, nor do I ever want to. But we're not talking about the structured lockable racks, we're talking about the hoops and ones that scooters go. So we won't need planning permission when we're looking to install them in our parks, gardens and spaces.
It's just the promenade because it's a heritage, it's a conservation area.
Okay, so it goes back to Councillor Wakeling's point about not wanting to defer this and not split it, but actually, if that's the case, it may be better to split because our parks, gardens, open spaces, they're under control by Weymouth Town Council, we can get on with it. It hits several strategy documents, and with that in mind.
Well, let's not confuse the issue. What we're being asked under the recommendation tonight is just to approve the money. Whether they order the ones for the parks and gardens and get on with those, and the important thing is they've got the order ready. I'm just raising the issue of if the stainless steel ones are coming through, Dorset Council saying, "Oh, get on with it," we can just get on with it. I don't think we should second guess what that says. So it's the money movement.
So it's all into, Chair, if you let me finish, please, thank you. If we don't take it from SIL and have to delay the process by waiting for full council and use existing budgets to deliver this against policies, you can get it done quicker.
Yes, as to.
But I'm saying if you don't use SIL, use existing budgets to deliver this, it doesn't need to go through council because it's already in line with strategy documents and can be delivered.
Well, if you took it out of a project budget, it would still need to go for authorisation.
Which budget and what obligations?
I mean, if I can come back, I mean, I'd like to see this by this summer season when we get busy, because certainly the community evaluation we did for the need for this parking was at a peak season when we went around and there's bicycles blocked to everything under the sun, but there shouldn't be. I don't think 13 days to full council is the issue here. If we can recommend it to full council in 13 days' time, I think that's plenty of time for Tina and the team to talk to Dorset about the permissions and things and get it in place by the summer. I'm just worried that, and also the other point I'd like to make is, we approved the seafront strategy last month with 37 actions in it, and there's a £100,000 budget. If we can do this out of SIL, because it's community infrastructure, that leaves the full £100,000 budget for the other 36 actions on the seafront plan. So from that point of view, I don't really want to dip into the seafront. I'd like services to be able to pick other things for that, and we can spend SIL on some community infrastructure. So I stick to my, can I make a recommendation, Jen?
Yes.
I'd like to recommend we recommend to full council, the full 17,000 and what,
£841.70p.
that amount out of SIL.
Just round it up to 18.
Yeah, it's for the same bit.
Councillor Watley. So, members, if we're clear, arguing about where it comes from, at the end of the day, we're committed to this. It's gone through working group committees, come here from a funding point of view. I think logic plays its part. If we can, in the next council, this gets approved, they can get on with it. Be clear that this committee is saying it's one project. If it has to go in stages and you could do the parts ones straight away, let's get on with them. But please, let's check with Dorset Council. The reason I ask is, I was in a meeting yesterday about barrel bikes. And they are looking to put some stuff somewhere. And I want to make sure that we get ours in first or appropriately, so that we know what's left in terms of where next go. So it's one project staged, if you can take it from. So is that clear, numbers? We're all very clear. So recommendation from Councillor Wakeling, seconded by Councillor Watley. All those in favour? All those against? And one abstention.
And that is as up there, so it's up to £18.
Yes, because of this. As I said to Jake about the speakers, don't tie it to a pan, because the time it takes to get through and get the video go up. You know, congratulations, let's get on with it.
Thank you
Well, let's
very
get it ready. In the meanwhile, if you can get an answer from Dorset Council before the next council, and also the absolute firm cost of labour, that would be really good for a practical council, so we could just deal with it there.
Yeah, the actual cost of the labour is included in that, it's just that I was asked to split it between the labour, between what was on the seafront promenade and what was going on the open spaces, so that actual labour cost is as it stands.
Brilliant. Well done, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, thank you.
Right. Item 8. Ground policies. It was item 8, now item 9. Ground policies. I'm going to ask Town Clerk to introduce.
Thank you, Chair. Just calling the documents up now for members to see. Members will recall that this has already been before you once. It was requested to bring it back with certain amendments following the suggestions made by the Governance Working Group. Those amendments have been made. They are detailed in the report. They're detailed and colour coded in the 3 attachments, which are the updated grant applications policy for grants up to £500, the application for grants over £500, and then the addition of the application scoring matrix. Happy to respond to any questions.
If you remember, members, we got hung up on the last one about the scoring matrix. Just wanted to make a point that whilst it's now included, it's what it says it is. It's a scoring matrix, it's not the only criteria for granting or not granting, but because we've got, sometimes when you have these scoring matrix, it's the sort of B end and all that, B end and all that of it. But it's not, it's a guide for the next council. It's a good step forward. So any questions about the grant policy? Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, my question comes from what we've just been looking at in the terms of the 3 policies today. And I always thought the grants policy was presumably for people in the community to do something for their community. Yet nearly all our grants are for organisations that are often outside of Weymouth, but quite often inside Weymouth, coming in to do things which might benefit our residents because they can go and see it. But it's not a long-term commitment to a community going to see a folk festival or going to see the show that the last gentleman was talking about, Peter Pan on Portland. It's but sometimes the argument is used, especially from my colleague on the left, that if they bring business to the community, then that's a good thing. And does our point system actually reflect how much business benefits and what matrix that gets in, what that gets into the matrix? Because we seem to be still confused as to what our grants policy is really meant for.
Well, I think this is a step forward. I think the scoring matrix is an aid, memoir to the policy. The policy's been through lots of iterations. I think the point that you're raising is a really interesting point, because I think the reason that we're getting organisations applying for grants now is because of the complexity of putting events on. And like the chat from the folk festival, which is a nice cute little, it's a nice cute little safe, lots of people have lots of fun, but it's easy, you could see in his face, it's quite an undertaking so I think the reason that we're getting lack of community is for that reason, the safeguarding and all the rest of it. So we're left then with, it has to be a group of people which turn themselves into a not-for-profit organiser. I think that's the reason. I think also this committee doesn't see the under 250 grants either, so the smaller ones we've taken care of, they're less, it's less stressful to do that. I think those are probably two good reasons. In saying that, we've talked about policy to death over the last year, and I think we've got to a place where it's as good as it's going to get. We still won't have spent the entire 60,000, and it'll be for the next council to, I think, embed this and see. I think last night's, well, if I may, as the chair, I think last night's discussion and the way the vote went was, in my view, a wrong step. And the reason it's a wrong step is because I think your answer to your question is in the green agenda, because there are lots of little groups. And if only we'd done the scoring matrix to say, bend the scoring matrix so that it would get score higher if it was a green project, you may have just had access to, because there's nothing stopping, I'm trying to think of a little, an allotment society or whatever it is that wanted to do a project. We've had the the crab pavilion and all this, we've had those before. Marine litter, that's it. I knew one. So I think by diversifying the grants policy as you did last night, voting for it, I think is the wrong step. I think what we should have done is bent our policy to lean it towards these smaller groups, and it's done now, and I'm over it. But I think that's probably the way that would go. We have to find a way. Tina has to find a way. Somebody has to find a way of getting to these little.
So community development.
Yes.
Is key.
Yes, I think flyers and things like that. Councillor Marshall.
Oh, go on then, you go first.
You first, rather than Councillor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Picking up on Councillor Harris's points, I did want to add probably a line into the scoring matrix around economic benefit, because social benefit's important, but so is economic benefit. Economic benefit employs people, employment gives people better social benefit, because they've got money to spend and do things. So I think we do need a line in there around economic benefit and how that benefits. And I don't want to push the town clerk, add that in tonight. So we can add a line in, I should recommend scoring before it comes to full council. I'm happy to do that. The other thing is, bearing in mind, and you prompted me there, Chair, around the environment side of things. I think the environmental mitigations needs a higher scoring than we're currently giving it. We have to apply the climate emergency. We take the climate emergency serious at this council, as demonstrated by our CE action plan. And therefore, I think it should be given a higher scoring value within the matrix scoring than it currently is. Last thing, Chair, because I don't want to leave it to the new council in another 12 months, is we've touched on this evening, or I did, probably out of order slightly, but the need for applications to meet our other policies. So we talk about tonight the cultural policy that's being adapted, and we obviously want to find ways to fund initiatives through that the community might bring forward. Same with our events policy. So similar to we've got at the top there, the number of Weymouth Town Council priorities being met as identified in the corporate plan. I think there should also be another one there, number of council policies that this project will fall into and score it on that also.
Yes, if only we'd have done this during the working group.
And apologies, I didn't attend the working group. It was a bit of a conflict of interest, I have to say, Chair.
Councillor Dick.
Thank you very much, Chair. Since I've been on the F&G, all these applications come before us. I've always felt I'll listen to, you know, we had some people that didn't turn up, I would never vote for them. They come, they answer our questions, and we base our decision on what's in front of us. If you put a matrix up, who scores it? How do they score it? I might have a different opinion. So every time a grant application comes before me, if I'm lucky enough to be here, I'll always mark it or put in a recommendation, yes or no. That's what you're coming down to on your own. Where's this application? What good is it going to do? That's why I wanted to increase the folk group, because they are a small group, and as you rightly say, they look at it. It's like planning applications now. You've got to do a budget request, a this request, a that request, and it's all getting so big. That's why I asked them about antisocial behaviour. There isn't any antisocial behaviour there. It's running the day. It's a lovely thing for Weymouth to bring people in.
Yeah.
Obviously, they tie their bikes up at Luke's bike racks and have a great time.
We'll label the button.
Luke's bikes.
If you're using a matrix, it's only a guide.
Correct.
And it's that guide that we need. Does it meet it? I remember the first time Councillor Legg said, sorry, I can't support this. It's not in Weymouth.
Yeah. Well, I think
you learn from that, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll stick to my point, which is it is only a guide, and as members, your views about what people say matter, and that's why we have a vote on it. And I don't want you to change that in terms of the way you vote. Listening to the people can sway you one or the other, and that's perfectly acceptable. If the matrix disagrees with your view, you vote the way you want to vote. The matrix is just a guide. And to answer your question, I think it's officer based. Yeah, so same as the application, because what you don't see is all the grants that don't make it. You don't see those, so it's an arduous, you know. So by the time it gets here, it's been through quite a sieve of officer experience and time. And actually, I think from an experience entry point of view, the officer is pretty well experienced now.
Yeah.
From a standard sum. So I don't see that changing. Councillor Watley.
Used to call what I was going to say.
Sorry. Basically, I'm talking about the small grants, the 250.
Yeah.
I saw the youth bus last night, and it looks as though whoever runs the bus is going to charge them to come into Weymouth, charge them for the bus. And I suggested that. That to me is a perfect example of the small grants. And I know that goes through the officers who decide that, and I think that's ideal.
Okay. Well, if they put an application in, then.
Yeah, I told them to do so if they get, they're not sure whether they're going to be charged yet.
Okay.
But it's a shame because there was nobody on. Well, whoever owns the bus.
Right, that's the Wilders charity.
It's the one from Swanage.
Yeah.
I presume somebody's got to drive the bus to Weymouth and park it and whatever. But they're going down the marsh next week. They're in Dewberry Cop every Wednesday and they're going down the marsh. So it is something useful.
You're obviously down with the youth, Councillor White.
No, I happen to be down on the Esplanade.
I'm just going to, yes, on the list, Councillor Wakeling, followed by Councillor Hope and Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you, Chair. The reason this matrix came about is because there is this sieve. this would give guidance to the SIP. It doesn't change our decision making. It still goes to committee, but this is to help officers to prioritise, to decide if this grant, have they ticked enough boxes to go to committee, yes or not? This is the first stab at it, you know, and this put it down for a 12-month review, and I think it's an incremental improvement, it's an improvement on our current policy, and that means it can still improve still in the future, and I welcome suggestions that's going to vote on. The only thing I wish to say on the matrix, Jane, the bottom half of it, I thought these, I thought these no's, do they have paid employees, they're going to be -5. Do they presume like last year -5? So if you're adding up the score, if they've got paid employees, then they've got last year, then it takes them off down there in the thing. It doesn't exclude them, but it just down, other grants would be higher priority if they didn't, for example, have paid employees.
So is that what you mean? If it's a yes, it's -5, and if it's no, it's 5?
No,
No.
yes is 0, no is -5, I think that's fine.
It sounds like Everton Football Club, yeah.
Yes. So if you add up their score, we don't want to give them 5 points for having paid employees.
But they don't, if it's a no, they get 5. But if it's a yes, they get no.
It's doing exactly what you want, the opposite way around.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's giving them a better.
Let's go to the vote. Okay.
Councillor Dickinson.
We are voting to increase the small grant, aren't we?
That's
To
the
£500.
proposal.
Yes, 500 from 250.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a more realistic figure in today's.
it is, yeah. And may encourage more groups to bother.
Yep.
You know.
Speak.
You may.
Thank you. Oh,
You go first then.
thank you very much.
Sorry, Jan.
Thank you, Chair. Just a point on the recommendation in front of you. Sorry if I may, Chair. The recommendation is that these are progressed to full council for adoption from May 2024. However, the grants budget starts on the 1st of April.
Yes.
And your small grants will be available for determination by the working group from the 1st of April. So a question to you all really is, do you want to hold off that until May, or would you rather those policies were brought in from the 1st of April to allow small grants to be made from the 1st of April?
Councillor Harkle, did you want?
Yeah, first of all.
Okay, Councillor Hunt?
Thank you very much, Chair.
On that specific question,
On that specific question, yes. I don't know how the town clerk feels about this, but I would feel very nervous about councillors making applications in a pre-election period, whether it's a designated working group or not. And maybe feel it should wait till after the elections and no application should be made during.
Is that an election?
Sorry. I wouldn't want any, I'm not saying that any councillor would, but I wouldn't want allegations of buying votes for groups made and put the council at risk.
Totally.
Oh, it's completely a member decision on if you wish there to be that level of hiatus on the smaller grants.
Councillor.
We just voted to bring in the cycle stands.
Yes.
I think having officers take decisions on small grants by the election is far worse, far less worse than what we just.
He's going to use cycle stand in a leaflet for their election.
So I would second what Colin said and say we should go for the vote to take the grants in April, but we're going to have a review that how it's all working and whether we're happy with it, because we're trying some new things out, so the new council will have that opportunity.
So, I don't know how are we in all these changes?
Well,
And recommend it to full council based on what we discussed here? Yes.
and I'm happy to make the changes suggested, which will be limited, which are in the matrix, put in something around economic benefits, to increase the environmental scores, to increase the environmental weighting,
Yeah.
and to put in an extra point with regard to the number of council policies supported or met by the application. And that will go into the draft matrix, which will then go forward to full council, but the recommendation being first of April.
Well, we're not taking any more at full council. We've been through this so many times. We've got to get it, we've got to go at it, you know, in terms of the changes we've made. Let's hope they won't get more amendments at full council based on this.
You know, I'm gonna rip on that.
Just to remind members, this committee has approved 25 applications this year. At total cost of 51,000. So we're not out of 60.
How much time has it taken?
Well, it's a bit like an iceberg. You don't see the stuff under the water that officers have to do. But it is worthwhile because there are 25 grants that you've granted that have gone to, you know, small groups, some larger groups. And we've learned along the way, I think. We're in a much better position we were 5 years ago. So with that in mind, the officer recommendation, including those changes, including the April 1st deadline, we're looking for a proposer. Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Wakeling, speak first. All those in favour?
That is unanimous.
Yes, just, I'm saying begrudgingly.
And unanimous things don't cause an electoral problem.
No.
Chair, do we need to appoint the working group then, if we're taking applications in April? Does it have to be from the Finance and Governance Committee?
It doesn't.
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah, there's a
What is the
cyclical.
rule? It's normally,
So, well, it was taken out of the policy at the request of this committee to designate who the working group was and to instead say that this committee, but obviously that's not been agreed yet.
we could delegate them. Somebody wants to do
Yeah,
it.
so you'll see that the items in orange are the ones that were your recommendations from the last F&G meeting, and green is the original recommendations put forward. So it's that the Finance and Governance Committee, following the annual meeting each year, there you go, can't be done.
That's the
However,
main grants, isn't it? That you've always done the small.
no,
grants.
the smaller grants was done by the working group, which was myself and the RFO, the mayor, the leader, the chair and deputy chair of F&G. But that is now changed following your comments at the last meeting to say that F&G needs to set that grants working group.
Yes, correct. Councillor Beck.
It doesn't say immediately following the annual meeting, it just says following, we're following last year's.
Yeah, I can't fault that logic, that's the left, I'm totally honest.
Okay, so, because we've got this gap between the 1st of April when the grants clock starts and the annual general meeting and the formation of this, we need just the subgroup, isn't it, for the under 500? Just the working group, fine. So I'm sort of minded to say, does anybody want to do it?
Are they day meetings or are they gonna be evening?
It's all online.
It's all
Oh,
on,
online. Yeah, but still, is it day or evening?
When you're late.
whether the email comes, if you can deal with it whenever you.
We normally give you
half an
10
hour.
minutes to get back to us.
Anybody particular?
I would recommend Harry. He likes my money.
Well, you know, if it doesn't interfere with my golf, yes.
So councillor Legg, how many do you want? 3?
3 or 4 will be fine.
Councillor Legg? Councillor Watley, Councillor Huckle, Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
That couldn't be fair, I think.
That's all supposing that this does go forward in the present format.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we should do whatever happens in June.
Okay. It isn't excluded or something, is it? So moving on to item 10.
Well, no,
We haven't voted yet.
that's not an official.
Right, that's just the one.
Yeah.
Yes, so we're gonna, yes. Quite a 10, there's chatter left and right of me here. Item 10, information items, action from previous meetings and the forward plan, questions. I will allow them, I know some chairs don't, but I will allow them. Councillor Wakeling.
My question's on the forward plan. The next FNG in June, we've got 10 policy reviews and a new policy in it. Yeah,
What?
as a councillor that served 5 years, I would hate that agenda. If we've got newly elected councillors for first FNG, that sounds like an awful 6-hour meeting. My suggestion is, can we move some of those forwards a little bit, maybe, in the forward plan? I would suggest operational things. The new councillors may want 6 or 8 months to experience operations before they review those policies.
Go
No one was more surprised than I to see the current iteration of the forward plan. I believe this came from a suggestion from Environment and Services to say that individual policies should be listed on the forward plan, where in the past we've had policies review, and we probably would have presented members with officers have reviewed the anti-fraud, reference investment complaints, customer service standards, etc., policy, and do not propose any changes at this time. From somewhere came the suggestion they should all be separately listed, which I feel is a level of detail that nobody really needs in their lives.
Councillor.
Somewhere or someone, I couldn't comment, but yes.
I'm more than willing to take it back to what it was, which was indicative policy review, and we have a schedule, we have a spreadsheet, it's colour coded, the RFA's done it. And we do work through all of our policies. Every policy is reviewed every 2 years as a minimum, or when a new legal requirement comes forward, such as the changes we have coming forward in the procurement regulations for financial regulation amendment. So, yeah.
Chair, just on that, I can say that most of the ones that you see at finance and governance are more legislation-led policies. What we see at service is operation, and how we monitor and do things. So how the chair of finance and governance wants to review finance and governance policies, I would say is up to them. But services, we would want to see them through.
I think I certainly think the drone policy should go into this.
Oh, yeah. We had options.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's under,
I've bounced it twice already, so.
I'm not sure why it's
Anyway. Any more questions about the forward plan? Councillor Howard.
Chair, not on the forward plan, but before you go into confidential session, can I just take this opportunity to thank you for 4 years as chair of finance and governance? I know you tried taking a dart track this year. I think you've done, and I'm sure everyone will support me in saying you've done a tremendous job in delivering 4 or 5 years of excellent budgets. Obviously, Councillor Harris, I think you did the first year of finance and governance chair. In existence, but no, thank you very much, Chair.
Conversation.
Yeah, I very enjoyed my time here and given you a lot of stick and aggro, and I just want to put that on record before the camera went on, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dickinson.
What was the outcome of these 10 policies that have got to be reviewed? Have we took them out now?
What's going to happen is we're going to.
they're still, they're under policy reviews, they're just not individually detailed.
So they will get reviewed.
No, that's, it's just suddenly, all of a sudden they disappeared and I thought, what's going on?
We'll go back
I think it's
to.
wise not to scare any new councillors who may be coming in.
Say, oh my God.
So there's a schedule that we as officers work to ensure that you as a council, we as a council stay up to date, up to the minute with the legislation and incorporating best practice as well.
Okay. The other item on item 11, item 10 is the discussion about the digital advertising. Now, if you're going to talk any numbers, we'll need to go into confidential session because we've not signed the contract yet. So, happy to take any non-financial questions, but if you want to discuss the numbers, which you've had an email about, then we'll have to vote to go into confidential session because it is probably the biggest contract, one of the biggest contracts this council has ever signed. Go with confidential, sure, yes, yeah, proposed by councillor Hope, seconded by councillor Hutton. All those in favour?
Unanimous. I didn't know if you actually wanted to read out. If the legal bit.
So before, well, I will do, under the Public Bodies, Admissions to Meetings Act 1960s, members of the public and press are required to leave the meeting due to the sensitive nature of the item next to be considered relating to
Commercial sensitivity.
commercial sensitivity, yes. Thank you.
Please bear
Sorry,
with me while I
Tina.
stop the recording. Just
Stop
to
the-
stop the recording. So